What's going on, my comic book community and my anime family? With Madam Web being out for a little while now, I thought I'd go into a more deep dive on her character. And I also want to explain the differences between her in the movie and her in the comic books. But before I do that, cue the intro. Madam Web's real name is Cassandra Webb, and she's a telepathic mutant that was originally born blind. But later on, as a young adult, she would develop an autoimmune disease that had her bound to a chair. The chair acted as a second body to help out with Cassandra's condition, as she could no longer walk, breathe, or even pump blood on her own. But she still had a way to interact with the world because of her psychic abilities. And because of her power, she was able to carve out a profession for herself as a professional psychic and medium. Most people in Marvel Comics, when they think about mind powers, they think about characters like Charles Xavier and even Jean Grey. But there are many different levels and key differences when it comes to these powers. See, Jean Grey is a telekinetic telepath. This means that she can not only read minds, but she can also move things with her mind, as well as control others. Now, Charles, on the other hand, is just a telepath. This means that he can only read minds and use his mind to control other people. But Madam Web's psionic abilities are a little bit different. She can't use her mind to lift objects or physically interact with the world, but she can read other people's minds as well as erase certain events out of their head. But by far, her most powerful ability is her ability to see into the future. This ability is something that normal telepaths in Marvel don't have. And this all has to do with her being connected to the web of life and destiny. The web of life and destiny is a spiritual force that connects all spider-themed characters across the multiverse. It's a three-dimensional construct within a five-dimensional space that acts as a model for the entire multiverse. I know that's kind of complicated, but think of it like this. Think about an actual spider's web. Each strand within that web is a different timeline and universe. Madam Web can see these strings and interact with them to be able to contact any Spider-Man or woman within that universe. So she's basically a medium on a multiversal scale. But so far as her powers goes, that's it. She's not really a big physical threat. Her main usage when it comes to Spider-Man and women has to do with support and intel. She's the ultimate man in the chair, if you will. Kind of like what future Batman was like to Terry McGinnis when he was Batman Beyond. Now, the next part of this video is going to go over the things that they did in Madam Web, the movie. So if you haven't seen the live action, this is a spoiler warning for what's ahead. Now, I'm not going to give my opinion on what I thought of the movie. I'm just going to tell you how accurately they portrayed her powers. Now, if I had to give the movie an overall grade when it comes to how accurate they portrayed her powers, it would probably be a D. So first, we're going to start off on how she got her powers in the movie. And long story short, it was from a spider bite just like Peter Parker. Except it was Madam Web's mother that got bit by the spider instead of her, but she got the powers because she was pregnant with her at the time. And it's vastly different from the comic books because in the comics she was a mutant and she had always had her powers. The next thing is how she actually used them within the film. So in the film, the best way I can kind of describe it is kind of like Edge of Tomorrow. I don't know if you guys remember that movie with Tom Cruise, but it was very, very sick. And I highly recommend you go watch it. But in that film, every time Tom Cruise's character died, he was able to restart the day all over again. Kind of like a respawn checkpoint within a video game. And this was the exact feel I got from Madam Web. Every time she saw a future that didn't work out or she died, she would just restart back to where she originally started from. And this to me vastly stripped the intelligence from her character, because what makes Madam Web's writing so unique is the fact that she can't interact with the rest of the world physically. She kind of has to be the mastermind or master chess player in a way to be able to manipulate the situation so the future comes out brighter. And that leads me into my next point, which is her astral form. Now, Madam Web in the comics has appeared in front of Spider-Man and many other heroes in astral form. It's basically her mind taking physical shape in front of you, kind of like a ghost. But once again, this version of her can't interact with you physically. And long story short, this was the total opposite thing of what she was doing in the movie. She used her astral forms to be able to help out the other heroes within the story. The next thing that's vastly different is how she ended up in her wheelchair. Now, in the live action film, they did make reference to her disease, but it was cured at birth because her mom got bit by a magic spider. So she basically ended up in that chair due to the battle that happened with the villain of that story. There was an explosion in a warehouse full of fireworks, and one of the fireworks landed in her eyes, blinding her, and she fell off of a building that was on fire, resulting in her legs being broken and her permanently being in a wheelchair. So if you're going into this film wanting a traditional storytelling of Madam Web, this is not going to be it. But look, guys, go judge it for yourself and let me know what you think in the comment section. Until next time, peace.